Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast presented by the Six Pack Coverage Media Network. It's your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi, coming at you to break down everything you need to know for Week 7 in the NFL season. We are coming off the worst betting week of my entire career.
Wow.
Lost more money than I have ever lost in a single day betting on sports. Nothing went my way. Rue, hopefully, I didn't actually look at your action app to see what you finished up. Hopefully, you finished a little bit better than me. How was week 6 for you?
No, it wasn't great. And it kind of came down to that Chiefs game for me. That was probably my biggest bet of the week on the Chiefs. And, I still feel pretty good about that bet, honestly. Like, I had the ball with Patrick Mahomes with a little bit over a minute left and, it just didn't work out. But it was like, I felt like all the spreads I wasn't as confident in and didn't make as big of bets on all hit. And then it would just happen to be like my bigger prop bets, my bigger spread bets are the ones that missed. So I ended up losing some money on the week. But
I couldn't believe how many people, I felt like everyone that I listened to coming off that game was like, see, the Bills are by far the best team in the league. They're untouchable. I'm like, what the Chiefs had the ball with a minute left to win the game. Like, what, that could have so easily been a Chiefs win. Like, I know there was some turnovers and stuff the Bills had in the red zone that maybe weren't super predictable.
So did the Chiefs. The Chiefs, Patrick.
Yeah, I felt like both those teams
scored,
were super evenly matched the whole game.
The Chiefs had a touchdown from MVS called back because of
your guy.
Yeah, which was my long shot, which was brutal. That changed the whole game. They had that called back because of an eligible man downfield, which was questionable. And then Mahomes threw the interception in the end zone, and you had them miss a 40-yard field goal too. So I mean, yeah, I don't think you could have really been on the wrong side either way in that game.
Yeah, I think the teams were very evenly matched. All right, so we'll recap week number 6 here if we have to. We'll pull off the Band-Aid, expose it, and then turn the page. Debate of the week, we did not have one, so nothing there. Favorite bets of the week, a nice 0-2 from us. You had the Ravens minus 5.5, which felt pretty good about the whole game. They were up 10 a decent way through the game, and then they just blew the game like only the Ravens could do.
They like doubled the Giants in yards. Like I still don't know how they oh my God, this team just can't put together a complete game. They just can't do it.
They're the best team in the league for 2 quarters of every game. And then they're also like the worst team in the league for 2 quarters of every game.
Unbelievable.
Very confusing. So you go to 3-3 on your favorite bets of the week. I also took a loss in the Cardinals and Seahawks over. The game started with 3 straight red zone drives that ended in 2 field goals and a turnover on downs, and the over was just dead immediately. Long shots of the week. You had Marquez Valdez-Scantling in an SGP. He scored a touchdown, and the Chiefs were right there, but he actually ended up finishing an official 0 for 0 and 0 on 3 targets. So the box score didn't exactly indicate how close you were to hitting that.
Yes.
I also took an L on my long shot. Tyler Lockett, 70 yards and a touchdown. He actually had a bomb with like a minute and a half or 2.5 left in the game that just missed it. It would have hit, but unfortunately I took a loss there, which is pretty on par for me last week. The prop sheet.
Oh God.
Oh man. Oh baby. 3-7 on the week. It was just pain everywhere. Justin Jefferson under by half a catch. Kirk Cousins under by 2 completions. When they had the ball at the end, they just ran out the clock. Brady somehow the Steelers get the ball back with 5 minutes left and just convert like 3rd and 14, 3rd and 8. Oh man. And then Hollywood Brown misses by 2 yards and leaves on the last drive when he could have hit with a leg injury, and he's now out for 4 to 6 weeks. So we go to a nice even 45-45. And I didn't even mention Jeff Wilson. God, guy got like 7 carries in the worst game.
He fumbled early on, and then the game script was not in their favor. God, we got to turn the page. Yeah, you got to turn the page. I would go into that Sunday night game. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, don't tilt and just bet. Like, I'm looking at like Eagles money line at minus 280. I'm like, just let it go. It was a bad day. It's gonna happen.
I did do good on that as well. I didn't tilt bet. I didn't add anything late. Try to chase the week. Just took the L's and moved on.
It's the only way. That's how you got to do it.
Yep. We live and we learn. All right. Heroes and zeros of the week. I'm not sure there's too many heroes out there, but let's see if you can come up with one for week number 6. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Breece Hall. That is one of the props that did hit for us. And we were both on the Jets as well. Ended up winning the game outright. So Breece Hall the last couple of weeks has really, I think, established himself as the number 1 back in that offense. And the Jets are starting to look like a competent football team. So Breece Hall, my hero of the week.
Jets, Jets. I agree. I also had Breece Hall hero of the week.
Okay.
Zero of the week. I'll kick it off here. I don't know. You may have the same one. I was with the San Francisco 49ers, the defense, the entire team. Just Apparently the collection of Falcons running backs are just going to haunt my dreams every single week. Another week where Caleb Huntley runs for 59 yards, Tyler Algier 51, Mariota another 50. Marcus Mariota had one incomplete pass in the entire game. From the opening kickoff, the Falcons dominated the 49ers in every aspect of the game. They were the more physical team. They were the better coach team. They didn't turn the ball over. The Niners allowed 21 points in the first half, trailing the entire game. And like we mentioned, Jeff Wilson only saw 7 carries and also gifted the Falcons with a red zone possession. So just all around absolute pathetic performance from what we would consider to be one of the elite teams in the NFC.
Yeah, brutal.
Got a zero of the week, or do you agree on the Niners?
My zero of the week, I am going to go to Lamar Jackson. And I know
your guy.
My guy, Lamar, I have to throw him in here. I know part of the Ravens' struggles of blowing these leads has been on the defense, but dude, you got to take some pride in this offense and run up the score, put up some points, man. It can't just be score 20 points in 2 quarters and then lay down. And then you had the 2 bad turnovers at the end of the game. Just like you said, really no point through the first 3 quarters of this game did I feel like I was in danger of losing this cover. And then everything just blew up. And the Giants continue to be a not so great team, but are somehow 5-1 at this point. It just blows my mind. It seems like they get outplayed every week and somehow they win.
Yeah, they just have this way of just hanging in games. And honestly, I feel it just feels like they let the other teams beat themselves. Like they don't even do anything special. They just keep the score close enough. And then Lamar gives them a turnover. Same thing last week with the Packers. They just hang around. And all of a sudden, like it just don't beat yourselves. And it seems to be working for them. Talk about that later against the Jaguars, a team that cannot wait to beat themselves in every game this season, apparently. All right, teams on bye this week for week number 7. Pretty much, every good team in the league is on bye. Eagles, Rams, Bills, and Vikings. I don't know how they came up with those bye weeks, but a lot of good teams out of the picture this week. So we will kick it off Thursday Night Football, a game that I actually have a lot to say on after digging into some props here. Saints against the Cardinals. Cardinals are 2-point home favorites. Over under is 44.5. All right, got to take a breath here before I read this injury report. The New Orleans Saints, we believe they're going to start Andy Dalton at quarterback, Jameis Winston likely going to be active and the backup. Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Marshawn Lattimore, offensive guard Andrus Peat, tight end Adam Troutman, all out for the game. Mark Ingram, questionable but expected to play. Pretty much every good player on the Saints. Cardinals side, Nuke Hopkins returns to the lineup, Hollywood Brown out of the lineup. James Conner, Darrell Williams, Eno Benjamin, all this is questionable. It sounds like it'll probably be Eno and the other guys don't play, but who knows at this point. Also, starting quarterback Trayvon Mullen is going to be questionable, and they also traded for Robbie Anderson this week. He is going to be active, play a limited number of snaps. My goodness, I don't know who's left in this game, but Rue, what do we have here? Saints versus Cardinals.
So I actually did bet the Saints here despite the injuries. I just think this Cardinals team is just bottom tier of the league. You look last week, your defense holds the Seahawks to under 20 points, and you can't even put up their one touchdown was a blocked punt, right? That was their only touchdown.
I think so. Yeah, it was some fluky
they didn't score
play.
An offensive touchdown. Like you said, you get DeAndre Hopkins back, which you need in this offense, but you lose Hollywood Brown. So that pretty much cancels itself out.
Downgrade.
Hopkins, okay, you could argue a downgrade maybe. They don't have a running game outside of Kyler. You're going to be playing with a banged up Eno Benjamin. The Saints, they outplayed the Bengals, and the difference in that game was the Bengals 3 for 3 in the red zone. The Saints were 1 of 5 in the red zone. And look, this Saints defense has been a massive disappointment from what we expected to. But the offense over the last few weeks, they found ways to move the ball up and down the field, even with all the injuries they've had. And Kamara's got it going over the last 2 weeks. You're getting Chris Olave back. I think this Cardinals team is definitely a defense that could struggle with the Taysom Hill package. So we could definitely see some big plays out of that. So this Cardinals team, it's just a team that can't put it together. And we've seen them have big second halves and everything, but I just think I've seen more consistency out of the Saints. So even on the short week here, catching a couple points, I'm going to roll with the Saints. And I think they're a good play in teasers as well.
Yeah, I think I'm a pass on the side. I have decent amount of Cardinals under bets from the offseason. That was one of my favorite bets if you listen to our podcast. I also have a Saints to make the playoffs. So I'm rooting for the Saints here. Kind of feel like I already have some action. If we do get a 3, I will buy the Saints, but no play right now. I did play the under. I got 45. I don't mind it at 44 and a half. Thursday Night Football unders have just been the absolute nuts this season. 5-1 to the under with an average of 37 total points scored. The Saints have been in some higher scoring games recently. I don't know how sustainable that is. I mean, if you just look at their offense, Andy Dalton with a below average group of pass catchers, like I don't know how much we can really expect that to sustain for a number of weeks. And then Arizona has played to the under 5 games in a row. So I think this total should probably be closer to 43, 43 and a half. So that was my main play on this one, was the under.
All right.
Props for you in this one. I have about 40 of them.
Interesting. All right. Well, my one is Chris Olave over 59 and a half receiving yards. This is kind of like he's like the last man standing at this point of quality wide receivers in the offense. He's averaging 77 yards per game. Like you said, the Cardinals have a couple banged up pieces in the secondary. So I'm expecting him to get a good amount of targets here. So over 59 and a half seems like a pretty good play.
My only concern with that was the Cardinals defense has actually been really, really good against number 1 wide receivers, and wide receivers in general. They're number 2 in DVOA against the wide receiver 1 position. Really, they give up all their yards to tight ends and running backs. I think Olave is going to have the volume. We know he can hit 60 yards in a single play, no problem. But I did see that they have been really, really good against wide receiver 1s this year. So that one held me off on that a bit.
Yeah, I just think with the volume he should get and that big playability, I think it's a good line to play. I mean, under like 60 here, just even if in the low 60s, I think it's a good line. They're gonna have to pass the ball. I mean,
yeah.
It's not like they have a good tight end to throw to. Yeah, you'll get the dump
off.
Whoa.
Hold it there.
You're really gonna try and sell me on a Jawan Johnson prop.
There.
Come on.
We'll get there. Do you remember Ricky Seals-Jones Day from last year?
I do.
We're running that back with Jawan Johnson Day this year. All right, let's start off on the Cardinals side. I'm going to go Zach Ertz under. I took an under receiving yards. I'm waiting for longest reception. Want to see if I can get that too. Ertz has been under 48.5 receiving yards in 4 of 6 games, under 16.5 longest reception in 4 of 6 games. Saints ranked number 1 in DVOA against the tight end position. Pitts 2 for 19, Cameron Brate 1 for 9, Ian Thomas 2 for 13, Big Irv 3 for 23, Hayden Hurst 3 for 21. Only one that had any success was Noah Fant 3 for 49. So I think Ertz under makes for a good play, even though he does see a decent amount of volume. AJ Green under 25 and a half receiving yards. What the heck is this line? A season high of 20 yards coming into the week, 2 for 7 last week. His longest catch on the season is 10 yards, and you're giving me 25 and a half. That one was crazy to me. AJ Green, you in on that?
Yeah, I think I'm in on that. I just don't like the injury to Hollywood. That's gonna,
Okay, but you added
Hopkins,
and then you bring in Robbie Anderson. I mean, he even see less snaps than normal. I mean, the guy's total dust. I mean, I don't get it. All right, let's talk about Jawan Johnson. You ready for this?
I hate this already.
Listen to the breakdown before you hate it. Adam Troutman, Saints tight end 1, expected to miss the game. Do you know where the Cardinals rank against opposing tight ends?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like, you can't get so overblown in where teams rank against tight ends because there's no good tight ends in the league. So when your schedule includes Travis Kelce,
I'm going to
okay. All right, go ahead.
Listen to some guys that have gone over his total. How about Noah Fant by 25 yards? How about Tommy Tremble on the Carolina Panthers had 34 yards against this defense? They are allowing 79.6 yards per game to the tight end position. Their linebackers cannot cover the middle of the field. Noah Fant, 45 yards last week. They've allowed 4 tight ends to set season highs against this defense this season. In 3 games with Adam Troutman missing this season, Jawan Johnson, 43 receiving yards, 40 receiving yards. Both of those were with Jameis Winston the first 2 weeks. Last week, Troutman goes down 4 for 41 with Dalton on 6 targets. The line is 22.5. It is criminally low. Jawan Johnson is my favorite player prop bet on the board right now. Happy Ricky Seals-Jones, Jawan Johnson Day, everybody. Jawan Johnson goes for 40.
I don't hate it.
It's I just don't like the I just don't like the number. 2 catches.
I get
Tommy Tremble. I mean, Tommy Tremble went over this line. What else do you want me to say?
All right.
You're in.
Yeah, I might be in.
All right, he's getting there. Anything left to say on this one?
No.
All right. Sunday slate. We will start off with the Lions and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are still hanging around 7-point favorites. The over-under is up to like 48.5 here, I believe. Big news here. Dak Prescott going to be back at quarterback for the Cowboys. Dalton Schultz is questionable. And then the Lions still have a ton of injuries up in the air. Josh Reynolds, DeAndre Swift, DJ Chark, all questionable for this week. We think Amon-Ra is going to be fine. He played last week. Do you have a play on this one? Are you waiting on an injury report? What do you have on this game, side or total?
So I took the Lions here. We saw their offense come back down to earth a little bit before the bye week, but I kind of liked it. I kind of like this matchup for them. You have, like you said, even like Amon-Ra played against the Patriots, but he was still pretty banged up. He should hopefully be healthier after the bye week. And they have a great offensive line that's only allowed 7 sacks so far this season, which is obviously a big deal when playing the Cowboys. And they've also been running the ball really well. And that's kind of how you want to neutralize this pass rush, like we saw last week, that like the Eagles did. Dallas is just 18th in rush DVOA on defense to the Lions 5th on offense. Lions rank 3rd in adjusted line yards. So I just kind of like this matchup for the Lions offense. Then you flip to the other side. Obviously, the Lions defense is one of the worst units in the league, but you're getting Dak's first game back off this thumb injury. I'm not saying he's not going to be better than Cooper Rush, but we saw Russell Wilson come back from a similar thumb injury last year, and it took him a while to look right. And maybe we
he
look
still
at
isn't right.
yeah. I don't
know if we can blame the finger injury anymore, but he still doesn't look right.
Yeah, but I just think it's going to be a tougher injury to come back from, and like we always talk about with this Lions team, they're always going to be fighting till the end. There's always going to be a chance to backdoor cover. So when you're giving me 7 points here, I'm going to take the Lions here.
Oh, the fighting Dan Campbell's indoors in a dome. I think, like you said, this is a matchup that the Lions can have some success in. Asking the Cowboys to win by more than a touchdown in Dak's first game coming off an injury. Like, I think there's going to be points scored here, but I think the Lions hang around. I could definitely see a backdoor here. I haven't bet it yet just because I hope that we could get a 7.5. If we don't, I'll gladly take a 7, and I'll also be looking at this as a potential live bet spot if the Cowboys do get up. No problem taking the Lions live plus 8.5, plus 10, whatever we can get if they do go down. I'm expecting this team to come out fighting. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think we get a pretty good performance coming off the bye. Maybe their defense looks a little bit better. I don't think they could possibly be as bad as they've been so far all season long. So Aiden Hutchinson, our guy, half bench press rep. He's going to be coming out
Dude,
with a fire under his belly.
Don't even get me started with that bum. He better start getting some sacks.
I feel a 2-sack performance coming on.
So it double his total from the last 2 weeks.
0.
I guess it wouldn't double it.
All right, what do you have for props in this one? We do not have any lines posted.
Well, I mean, depending on the running back situation, if Swift's not in, I'll like I said, I expect the Lions to be able to run the ball here, so I would look at Jamal Williams. If Swift's back, it would probably be a pass for me, just because.
Yeah, you don't know exactly what the workload.
If Dan Campbell tells you Swift is going to see 10 carries, he'll see 30. If he says he's a full go, he'll probably see 10 carries. We've seen that in the past. So if it's just Jamal Williams, I'll be looking at his yards. If it's Swift and Williams, I'll pass.
Okay. Probably not a ton for me in this game. Probably just going to be looking at Amon-Ra receiving yards, hoping that's going to be like low to mid 60s. Should be full go after the injury in the bye week. So that would be my only look in this one.
All right.
Let's move right along here to our next game in the AFC South. Indianapolis Colts traveling to take on the Tennessee Titans. Titans are a heavily juiced 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 42.5. This is a rematch of week 5, I believe, where the Titans won the game outright. May have been week 4. Injury notes here for the Colts. Basically every running back on the roster is injured right now outside of Phillip Lindsay. Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, and Deion Jackson all questionable for the game. Shaquille O'Neal-Leonard questionable for apparently just every game this season. Who knows? Kwity Paye, defensive lineman, also going to be questionable. The Titans have Zach Cunningham, Bud Dupree, and Armani Hooker on the injury report, even though they are coming off a bye. And then we're also expecting Treylon Burks to still be out. For some reason, every time I type Treylon, I just add a G on the end. I don't know what it is, but every single week it just turns into Trey Long. So I'm just gonna start calling him Trey Long, and I think it sounds better, honestly. So
all right.
What do you have on this game, Titans versus Colts? I guess I should mention one thing before I hand it over to you. There is an interesting dynamic in this game. Mike Vrabel coming off a bye. As coach of the Tennessee Titans, he is 4-0 straight up and 4-0 ATS. after a bye week. He's also 8-0 if you include the mini bye coming off Thursday Night Football. Does that mean the Titans are guaranteed to win or cover, or that we have to bet on them? Of course not, but I do think it's something that we do have to take into account. Mike Vrabel's a really good coach, has a lot of extra time to prepare for a team that he already knows very well. So just something that I found interesting when I was looking into this one. What say you, Colts versus Titans?
I say the Titans will be 4-1 off a bye week after this week because I am on the
Okay.
Colts. I was on the Colts last week to get their revenge on the Jaguars, and now I'll be on them this week to get against the Titans. I was all over the Titans in the first matchup between these teams when they were catching 2.5, 3 points.
That was 4. That close
That was
Colts
4. Oh, you're
minus
right.
4
Yeah,
in
yeah, so,
Indy.
yeah, yeah. So I just think getting a field goal in this matchup is
I mean,
extremely
how did we move
valuable.
7 points in 2
It's
weeks? How did
crazy.
we go Colts
I mean,
minus 4 to Colts plus 3?
even flipping home field. And if you look at the first matchup, the Colts outgained the Titans by over 100 yards, averaged a full yard per play more, and it just came down to turnovers. They had 2 fumbles, 1 interception, and the Colts still only lost by 7. So they had 3 turnovers. The Titans had 0, and they lost by 7 points. The Colts got it done with the pass last week. Matt Ryan averaged over 9 yards per pass in the first matchup between these teams. The Titans are 29th in DVOA against the pass. And I know Henry had a great game in the first matchup between these teams, but the run defense is still the strength of this Colts defense. So I think it's a great matchup when you have to force this Titans team to be a pass first offense. So if they can limit Derrick Henry and force Ryan Tannehill to throw to his limited weapons, I really like the matchup. And I just think, like I said, every time these teams meet, it's to me, it's a coin flip game. So if you're giving me points on either side here, I'm going to take them, and I'm going to take a little bit on the money line as well.
Yeah, agree with pretty much everything you said. The Colts run defense has been really good this season. They did allow a big game to Henry, but I think, sell out to stop the run, make Tannehill and these below average weapons beat you. We saw a lot from Matt Ryan in the passing game last week. It'll be interesting to see what their game plan is, depending on, who's available at running back, what that looks like. But at least Matt Ryan inspired a little bit of confidence that he's not totally washed at this point, and, threw for 350 plus yards last week. What are you doing from a numbers perspective here? It's like right now, I don't think there's any threes on the board. Are you fine with 2.5? Do you think that we might get another 3? What did you play?
So I played 3. I laid like minus 115. But if the 3 never came up, I was going to take the 2.5, and I'm taking some on the money line as well. I just, like I said, it's a coin flip game. So getting any points to me and getting plus money on the money line, I really like it. And like I said, it's not even just like coin flip game. I like the matchup here for the Colts, and I do think the Colts outplayed the Titans in the first matchup. So I do think they win this game.
All right, I think I'm with you. I'm waiting out for a plus 3. I was looking for plus 3 minus 110. Didn't get it, so I haven't bet it yet, but I will definitely be on the Colts in some way at plus 2.5 or plus 3 in this one. What do you have for props? No lines here. Any looks for you in this one?
Yeah, so I'll be looking at Michael Pittman receptions. This is when I actually had it really late last week. It was somewhat of a buy low spot last week because he had a couple down weeks. Even if Jonathan Taylor comes back, this Colts team is just passing the ball a ton. Matt Ryan had 37 pass attempts in the first half last week. Pittman went through a little bit of a lull after a 9 and 8 catch performance in weeks 1 and 2, but he was battling an injury, and then came back last week, saw 16 targets and 13 receptions, and his average depth of target is only 6.3 yards. So he's seeing pretty quality targets that closer to the line of scrimmage that are very catchable. So 5.5 or 6.5 at plus money, I would take.
Okay, I like it. Don't think I have anything in this one till we get lines. All right, moving right along here to a very interesting game with an interesting spread. The 5-1 New York Football Giants travel down to Jacksonville to take on the 2-4 Jaguars. The Jaguars are 3-point home favorites. The over/under is 41.5. Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay, both probably going to miss this one. Azeez Ojulari is also questionable. As you mentioned on the top, last week the Ravens outgained the Giants 406 to 238. They ran for 211 yards, and the Giants still won the game outright. What do you make of this spread here? Does it make sense? The Jaguars lay in 3. Obviously the market's still not buying into the Giants, still not buying the hype. Are you buying them in this spot, or is this finally the game where the Giants come back down to earth and look as we expect them to?
Yeah, like I look at all these Giants games, and like I said, like they haven't really outplayed anyone. I mean, maybe there's one game in there they did, but like I just see 5-1. I'm like, this could easily be 2-4 or 3-3. Like they just haven't been convincing enough wins. Like you said, they're getting outplayed. They're just kind of hanging around and letting the other team beat themselves. Now, the Jags are a team that has potential to beat themselves
I
here,
can't wait to beat themselves. I mean,
but
my God.
I kind of lean the Jags here, but for that reason that they beat themselves, they haven't looked great over the couple weeks, and just the way the Giants are finding that way to hang in. Like the matchup wise, the Jags have been solid against the run. They're top 10 in DVOA and line yards, which is obviously what sets up this entire Giants offense. And I think what scares me the most is they had 0 sacks last week. I mean, Matt Ryan dropped back like 50 times and they had 0 sacks against the Colts offensive line, which was just getting absolutely obliterated up until that point. So, yeah. And the Jags have been great at getting pressure up until last week. So I don't know if that's just like a game I write off or they were coming back down to earth a bit. So I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on this game, so I think it's going to be a pass for me. And I think the Jags can have success running the ball, which is a huge key to their offense. We saw Kenyon Drake have a career day against the Giants last week.
What happened to James Robinson? He was like awesome the first 2 weeks, and then the last few, it looks like he's like running with like cement bricks on his feet. Like what? I mean, they still have Travis Etienne. He looked good last week, but like James Robinson looks terrible.
Yeah. So he definitely does. So not a good week for the comebacks from Achilles. It started off okay, but Cam Akers basically done with the Rams, and now James Robinson, like you said, looking like he has cinder blocks on his feet. But this game is a stay away for me.
All right. This game is a play for me. I played the Giants +3. I want to preface this by saying I am currently 0-5 betting Giants games this season. I am looking to get off the schneid. I think this is the perfect matchup, as I've stated multiple times. The Giants, what they've been doing this season is they just hang around in games. They don't make stupid mistakes. They're a well-coached team. They don't do anything to put themselves in a bad position. They just hang around, stay within striking distance, and they just seem to let other teams beat themselves. Enter the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are a team that just keeps finding ways to lose games that they shouldn't. They go up 14-0 on the Eagles, then turn the ball over 5 times, fall apart, and lose the game. They move the ball up and down the field, outgain the Texans by 200 yards, turn the ball over and end up losing that game and lose outright as a 7-point favorite. Last week, they go up 14-3 on the Colts, let them right back in the game and lose. I just think this is the perfect opponent that you want if you're a Giants team. The Jaguars, look, I just think that this is going to come down to something that we've seen similarly. The Jaguars are going to have a big turnover. Trevor Lawrence is going to do something stupid because he does this every single week. So I'm betting the Giants. If they go down early, I'm more than happy to add some live because I just don't think this Jaguars team is going to be able to win by a margin. Give me the G-Man.
All right.
Getting 3 points. Getting 3 points. I mean, this is just.
I get it.
I can't. I don't get this. This spread needs to be 1.5.
Yeah.
All right. Any props for you in this one?
No, I got nothing in this game.
Don't think I'm going to have anything either. We don't have lines yet. I was curious where Wan'Dale Robinson was going to open up, but probably no plays for me, at least until we get lines. All right, let's move to the AFC North. The Cleveland Browns against the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are 6 to 6.5 point home favorites. The over-under is 45.5. Browns got smoked by the Patriots last week. Meanwhile, the Ravens, as we just mentioned, did pretty much everything against the Giants except for win the game at the end. A lot of injuries to some important players on both teams. Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Denzel Ward, all questionable. Offensive lineman Wyatt Teller is doubtful for the Browns. And then on the Ravens side, Ronnie Stanley and Rashad Bateman, both questionable. Safety Marcus Williams still out. We grabbed the Browns, or at least I grabbed the Browns +6 on the look-aheads last week. I kind of liked them in the game against the Patriots. I thought they were going to show up a lot more than they did. So unfortunately, I didn't get great value there. The spread's pretty much the same as is now. Did you take the Browns last week? And if not, are you changing your opinion here? What do you like?
No, so I took them this week at 6.5. After we got off last week, I wasn't sold on them beating the Patriots. I kind of had a feeling that I didn't bet it, but I just didn't feel great about it. So I waited and, I got the extra half a point here. But I don't know what else you need to say about this game other than that it's the Ravens. And like we've talked about them, like they're this year's Minnesota Vikings. No matter who they're playing, it's going to be a close game.
I thought the Minnesota Vikings were this year's Minnesota Vikings.
They're
joining the club.
The AFC Minnesota Vikings. And they just can't put anyone away. And whether it's offense or defense, someone's just cracking every game. And you have 3 straight matchups between these two teams that have been decided by 6 or less points. The injuries on the Browns are concerning, but the Ravens, like, it's weird to say they need Rashad Bateman. They just have no one on the outside. And like, it's like they want to be this running team. And Kenyon Drake had the big game last week or whatever, but it was 10 carries, was what, like, they just don't have the threats on the outside running routes outside of Mark Andrews. No cornerback is shaking having to line up against Devin Duvernay and whoever the hell else is out there.
James
So
Prochet.
yeah, Jay, I just don't think these teams are 6.5 points separated right now. They're both battling through some injuries, and the Browns up until last week they were scoring. You were betting Browns overs for most of the season because they've proven.
And again last week,
yeah, so
wasn't because of the Browns offense,
not because of the Browns, but yeah, I just don't think these teams are 6.5 points separated. This line is probably 2-3 points too high to me.
Yeah, I think I'm with you for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned. This is also a very different situation for this Browns team than we've seen in any game this season. They've been basically a pick 'em or small to mid-sized favorites in every game. -6.5 against the Jets, 4.5 point favorites against the Steelers, -3 against the Patriots last week. So like asking the Browns team that has a very suspect defense, a pretty good offense, asking them to win by margin is a lot different than keep a division game within a touchdown and you cover the spread. And like we've already mentioned, the Baltimore Ravens, 3 straight games decided by 4 points or less, and 4 of their 6 games have been decided by 4 points or less. So, I mean, look, we just talk about the team profiles. I think the Browns can keep this one close. They haven't been in this underdog spot, but I think this is more of a spot that you want to take them rather than laying points. And Baltimore, they're gonna find a way to let the Browns in the back door here.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Props for you in this one.
Just Nick Chubb rush yards, 76.5, complete disrespect and overreaction.
Disrespect.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, probably go back to Lamar rush yards as well if that's in the high 50s, because all it does is win every week.
All right.
All right, moving right along here. The Falcons and the Bengals up next.